How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Story of the Fight. We got Andrew Toasty stepping in, the Dan Ige of this show, stepping in, filling in for Ramiro on short notice. Once again, he always comes through. We are covering UFC 303, Alex Pereira versus Jiří Procházka 2. We're going to be covering a bunch of fights from there. We'll have timestamps down below if you're not watching this live. We're also going to be covering one Friday Fights 68, Prajanchai versus DeBella. Again, we'll have timestamps. We'll be covering those fights after we cover some of the UFC fights. But before we jump in, do all the stuff, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. Follow us on social media. Go to storyofthefight.com and it'll list all of our links. It's Story of the Fight on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Twitch. Toasty, what do you got? You got social medias?
Yes, sir. Toasty MMA on just about everything. Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, everything. Even YouTube, actually, I think.
You got a fight booked for A1 Combat right now?
Yes, sir. 4 weeks away, July 26th, Lemoore, Tachi Palace.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, let's get into it. Shout out Blunderbub. Got Toasty's cat out here. We'll get into it. Alex Pereira versus Jiří Procházka 2, the rematch. Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. The UFC posted cage side footage, so let's go ahead and watch the knockout real quick.
You know, at least Herb is doing better at letting people die.
All right, Dominic Cruz. If that was Keith Peterson, he would have been over right with the high kick. But we'll get into how that happened and what that was. But shout out everybody in the chat. Fight Zone update. HLB Comer. Rest Data Ware. Respect. Thank you for joining. Going into this, obviously it's a rematch. It's short notice for both of them. I think they both took this fight on 2 weeks' notice because this was supposed to be Conor McGregor's return. He pulls out. Both these guys are savages, so they're like, we're down. Kind of crazy for Alex Pereira to put his belt on the line on 2 weeks' notice. That's super ballsy. But clearly he felt pretty good about this matchup, having faced him before. First fight, Jiří won the first round, got his leg chewed up, but ended up with a takedown, some ground control, won the first round, had Alex up against the fence at one point. This fight, not nearly as good for Jiří. Again, they do the stare down, the crazy stare down for like 10 fucking minutes. I swear they did the walkouts and they waited even longer to start announcing the fight because they're like, let's just keep the cameras rolling.
They timed it. Before the fight, I think they said Joe was like, or John was like, oh yeah, that was 4 minutes and 58 seconds on the dot.
Oh my god, just a round of staring each other down.
And that's crazy
from either of them. Just fucking stone cold, dude. I love both these guys so much. Okay, so fight starts. Jiří's switching stances a lot, which is good. I thought going into this, you probably want to be southpaw and take away the outside leg kick from Alex. At best, you're going to eat inside low kicks, which aren't nearly as debilitating. But he stands so heavy on that lead leg, he leans over his leg a lot. So the leg kick is there, obviously. But immediately, I think it was like the second one that Alex threw, Jiří countered off of it. And I was like, okay, he's not just going to eat them this time. And that was about it. I think they said Jiří landed 7 strikes in the fight.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. For how much movement he did throughout the entire fight to only hit 7 times.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, HLB Comer just said in the chat, some observations, I'm sure Will knows about these. Jiří dropping his hands in the video pre-fight, and Blachowicz noticing that before the fight, Jiří did something he never does. He smiled. Yeah, so pre-fight, Alex has said this now after the fact. He said that they watched, you know how they show, like, during the broadcast, they'll show, like, clips of them backstage in the locker rooms and stuff, getting ready and everything. they said that they saw him dropping his hands when he was returning from punching, and they were like, the high kick will be there. And so during the event, they noticed the high kick was probably going to be there from the backstage footage.
While they were doing a TikTok dance.
Yeah. First round. This is the end of the first round. This picture here, but Alex was doing everything that he normally does. He's attacking the legs. He's jabbing the body. He's just giving all these looks. You know what I mean? Like, he's so good at just like setting things up with just. He's limited as far as like his arsenal goes. It's not like he's throwing like Yair Rodriguez spin kicks and shit like that, you know. But
his movement is so like it's not that it's limited. He just doesn't do anything. Like he stays very like stationary all the time.
Yeah, it's very minimal. Jiří's dancing around him, trying to get in. He can't quite get in. He ends up with like double underhooks up against the fence, and I was like, okay, good, because the takedown is obviously what you need to do in this matchup. But he couldn't get it. He never really dropped onto a leg or anything like that, and he didn't really ever really work for any trips from what I remember. It was kind of just like holding him against the fence for a bit.
Yeah, it felt like he was trying to like wear down his gas tank, but then like Alex would hit him like 4 or 5 times in the body with those little shots to the body. And I don't think Jiří was ready for, I don't think like that much power coming from such a small space. And I don't think he kind of brought his hand out like he wanted to do it. And he was like, I don't like this at all. Yeah. And he like disengaged. And I think that kind of like threw him off the whole time.
Yeah. And then at distance, Alex kicked his body a lot, but mostly with the right leg. The rear kick to the body of Ige when he was southpaw, when they had the open stance, right? And then at the end of the first, he catches him clean with the left hook, the death touch. Ige goes down. If it were in the middle of the fight or the middle of the round, it's probably over. But it's literally as he's falling, the bell rings, and you're like, oh no. And Ige, props to him, he wasn't out cold, and he literally the fight's being stopped for the end of the round, which you could still stop the fight as a whole, but Ige is calling him into his guard, and I think those optics allowed them to continue the fight. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
there's times where, you know,
his instinct saved that fight essentially at the end of that round.
Yeah, and I think if he had gotten up and he like fell over, they probably would have called it.
Yeah, he was already stumbly a bit. Like his feet were not underneath him when he did stand up. So if he immediately stood up, he would have fallen so hard.
Yeah, he stayed there, gives some gamesmanship. Come on down. And then he smiles as he walks away. And it's like, that's not what you want to see if you're a Ige fan. This is not good. This is very bad. But also, he took the shot. Shout out HLB Comer. Hey, that was good pronunciation. Let me hear your Jiří Procházka. I don't know about... I spend more time trying to figure out how to say Jiří. I don't think you say Prochazka. I think it's just Procházka. I know HLB Comer is in tune to that accent or pronunciation, so maybe he can school us on the last name. But anyways, second round starts, and within a few seconds, it is Procházka. I don't know. Send me a clip, HB Comer. Send me a clip of you saying it on Instagram. But second round starts, and immediately Pereira steps in with the switch high kick off the lead leg. It was
something he never does.
Never does it. And you see, Ige tries to go down to block his body.
He's like catching that kick that is not there.
Yeah, he thinks it's going to the body because he was going to the body earlier in the fight. And the high kick is just fucking beautiful. Clanks him on the side of the head, drops him. There's a few pictures here, Rich, of him just the sequence. I mean, we watched it at the top of the show, right? But God, dude, rolls the ankle.
Oh yeah, that's horrible. I didn't even notice. Oh God, that's so ugly.
Goes down, and then Alex. It's not a walk-off KO. Alex has to jump on him. Hits him with some extra shots. Herb Dean runs a full circle around them, and then stops it. And then, hey, shout out Sam. What do you say? Heck yeah! Live story of the fight. Love that my guy Garry got the win. Excited to hear the breakdown. We will get to it. We will definitely get to it. But yeah, Herb runs around, stops the fight, and then helps Ige get up. And I'm like, dude, let him. I
got to defend him on this one. I think he was more focused on not letting Alex touch him. because Alex came over there and he was trying to like, oh, I'm sorry, or like, I respect or whatever. And I think Herb was like, hey, no, get out of here, dog. And that moment, he's also not going to be able to stop a 230-pound man from standing up.
Yeah. I mean, goddamn, dude. So yeah, it's now 2-0 for Alex. Knocked him out in the second round both times. This time, much more definitive, because there was like, if you're in the Jiří camp, you could say, look, I won the first round. The stoppage was a little weird in the first fight. You can't after this. This is Alex is just so fucking good. You're just not going to beat him like this.
Even if this was a 3-round fight, it would have been done.
Yeah. Alex says, or Sam says, they asked Dana about Poatan at heavyweight, and Dana predictably says John Jones is the pound for pound number one. Dana has to be memeing at this point. I've always thought John must have some crazy dirt on Dana. The fact that they've kept him around, and not just kept him around, but have just like defended him so hard despite him fucking over things so many times. Alluding to that, or after the fight, in the post-fight interview, they asked him about heavyweight, and Alex is like, it's inevitable that I'll go to heavyweight. And goddamn, dude. I don't know. He's going to have to wait for a specific matchup at heavyweight, because he'll probably get a title shot right away when he goes up. Aspinall, I think, runs through him. If Curtis Blades beats Aspinall, I think Curtis Blades runs through him, just because they're so big and their grappling is so good. John Jones is not going to fight him. John Jones is going to fight Stipe, if that even happens. Which, fun fact, with Andrei Arlovsky leaving the UFC after his fight last night, Stipe has no wins over a rostered UFC fighter.
That's crazy.
And he's getting to fight for the belt. Blunderbuff says, Genevieve says hi, and she loves Toasty's cat. Got to throw that out there.
At the same time, though, dude, like, I'm so over this, like, media and UFC fast tracking like everyone to multiple titles. Like, where was this with DJ? Like, where was this with all of these other guys that had to like fight 12 times?
They wouldn't let GSP go up for the longest time. And things have changed.
I mean,
like,
BJ Penn had to literally leave the UFC to get a second shot. Like, but then we're gonna talk about like even Jiří and Alex. They were both like, oh, these guys, it's unprecedented how quick they got. Well, I mean, if you give them 3 fights and then a title fight, you had Sean O'Malley fight 7 people before he got to a title fight. What is going on here, guys?
Bilal Muhammad, Leon Edwards, same division even. It's bullshit. They pick and choose. Obviously, Izzy being the champ led to Alex getting that fast rise. They wanted to capitalize on the beef there and get him to that shot as soon as possible. This is what I want to see. HLB Comer says, let him kill Magomed Ankalaev, and he can go fight whoever is heavyweight king. I agree. I think that's the move. Let him fight one last contender at light heavyweight, which is Ankalaev, the rightful contender. Because after he does that, I don't know who. There's really no rightful. My issue when someone goes up is when there's a rightful contender who is now losing a title shot. Yeah. And Ankalaev would be that guy if he goes up to heavyweight next. It's also stylistically the most interesting matchup for Alex so far.
The only interesting matchup. The only one. Because everything else has been entertaining. Like, that was the selling point of every fight is I'm giving you a striker against a striker. Even like Bruno Silva, though, like he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but he strikes. He doesn't use his jits. So like
he went
where was the challenging matchup the entire way?
Yeah, dude. What are you talking about? He had Andres Michailidis in his debut. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. So I don't know if that's what's next. I think, like I said, Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall, that's a tough task. I think if Cyril Gane was at heavyweight, I would very much like to see him fight Cyril Gane at heavyweight, but that's probably not ever going to happen because Cyril Gane won't fight anybody right now, and he's not getting the belt, and I don't think Alex is fighting at heavyweight without the belt on the line. But you do have to say, despite the fast rise and how convenient it was for Alex, the guys that he's faced and what he's done with them is fucking insane, dude. Like Jamal Hill, Jan Blachowicz, Jiří twice, Izzy. Like, I think outside of once he fought for the belt once, he's only fought champions, and he's fucking beat all of them and finished most of them.
Yeah.
It's insane. Luke Thomas said he's like a big game hunter. He's like not here to just like rise through the rankings and fight like everybody else. He's just coming over here to big game hunt, and he's fucking doing it. It's crazy, dude. Because it's one thing to get those opportunities, but then to capitalize on them like the way that he has, it's truly special. Because I think it's been 2 years, 2.5, almost 3 years since he's been in the UFC. He's a 2-time champion in 2 divisions, and he's finishing former champions. Like Jiří's a former champion. He's finished him twice.
Yep.
That's crazy. Jiří finished to get the belt, finished Alex's coach. That's how he got the belt. And now
I think that'll be the interesting thing when he goes to heavyweight is he's finally fighting somebody who hasn't fought his damn coach.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. After the weight cut, he weighs in at 205, 204.5, and he goes back up to 230. And Dana's like, heavyweights, they're too big. And it's like a lot of heavyweights who have success are guys that fight around 245-ish and don't cut weight. And that's probably where he'd be. He'd probably put on like 10, 15 pounds of muscle, not cut any weight. And he could probably do it pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, he's a big guy.
Against the majority of that division, of like the least stacked division in the entire UFC, at least on the men's side.
Yeah, HLB Comer, Teixeira fought Jones. He's going to go fight John Jones, another guy that...
Damn it. God damn it.
That's classic. That was brutal, right? John Jones against Teixeira when he fucking tore his shoulder apart, dude. Oh, my God.
That was awful.
Yeah, but, you know, it sucks. I really wanted Jiří to win this one because I wanted a trilogy just because it's such a cool matchup. Both these guys are so badass. But at this point, Jiří's going to have to really go learn some things. He can't just be that crazy guy because when that doesn't work, it's just he gets knocked out. Blunderop says, I'm a casual, so it seems to me from the outside that Pereira's career is pretty crazy. How good would you guys say he is relative to past fighters who have had legendary careers? The issue for him is always going to be longevity in that argument because he came over so late in his career already. He's 36, 37, I think already. So eventually the age will catch up with them. But you cannot, I mean, you look at the guys that he's faced now and what he's done. So his UFC debut, he knocks out Michailidis with a flying knee. Then he goes toe-to-toe with Bruno Silva. And after that, he knocks out Sean Strickland in the first round. That's a champion. He knocks out Israel Adesanya, a champion. He loses to Izzy. Losing to a champion is not really a big deal, in my opinion. He beats Jan Blachowicz, another champion. He knocks out Jiří Procházka, a champion. He knocks out Jamal Hill, a champion. And then he knocks out Jiří, a champion. That's insane, dude. Since not even since he fought Izzy, actually. His last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights in 2 years, by the way. 7 fights in 2 years, all against champions or former champions or future champions. And he's finished all of them except for one. That's
my big point to Blunderbub would be like, it's hard to compare previous fighters to now because the game is massively changed. Like you, like even like GSP, right? Like his skill set comparatively to like the top tier of like skill sets now is completely different. You go down.
He was so good.
He would have success, but he would not be as ahead of the game as he was back then.
Yeah.
Like there's so many more people that are at that level than there were back in the day. Like you don't have Matt Hugheses and Sean Shirks that are literally just one thing, and they're so good at it. And that's it.
True, and one thing that will always count against him as well is like he doesn't have that well-roundedness, and I don't think he'll ever be like one of the GOATs because, well, it depends on what your GOAT argument is, right? But I don't think he's the greatest fighter even right now.
No,
because I think Goliath could probably beat him if they fought like 10 times. He beats him a few times. So he doesn't have that well-roundedness to be considered like the best to ever do it. Yeah, there is an echo right now, and I can't hear it, and it is throwing me off. Let me see. Let me see if I can fix that really quick. Yeah, that is coming from Toasty. I just muted him, and it's not coming back. Toasty, I don't know if you need to reset your AirPods or whatever you got in there. But the roundedness is not going to be there like it is for John Jones or even DC, who found knockouts later in his career. But he does have the resume of just destroying the best in the sport. And that does count for something. Yeah, I don't hear the echo anymore, Toasty. And you're unmuted. I got you back. Let's see. Sam says no headphones equals echo, perhaps. I think, do you have earbuds in or like earbuds? Sure does. You're not muted. You can talk. I unmuted you.
I know.
Okay. But yeah, that's always going to be that's the part of fights or fighters like Alex is, and those types of discussions is there's no real perfect answer, if we're being honest. Like even John Jones, who probably has the greatest claim, there's still positive steroid tests. So there's always going to be some pushback and some angle where you can discredit or say like, oh no, he's not quite that guy. But Alex does and will continue to build on his claim, especially if he goes to heavyweight. If he goes to heavyweight and beats out another champion caliber fighter, it's just like, what are we doing, man? It's crazy. But there will always be people who will say Alex has made a legendary Hall of Fame run out of kickboxing worst kickboxers in MMA.
Yeah.
Which
it's also like this idea of like who's the greatest. It's like it's such a general thing. Like what you think is the greatest, what I think is the greatest. Like what we need to set some ground rules here.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's like
Mayweather thinks who sold the most tickets.
Yeah, there's like 3 types of greatest. There's like the biggest, the actual best skill wise, and then there's the resume. And those 3 are all kind of like depends. Ganscow says Alex is speed running the GOAT title. I mean, he kind of is. Shout out Ganscow, by the way. I know he was hyped probably for Karate Combat this weekend. Yeah, to watch one. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on. We've covered this fight for 25 minutes now. We will move on to the co-main event. This was Diego Lopes versus Brian Ortega. No, it was Dan Ige. So again, like Alex Pereira, here's a shot of the weigh-ins. Like Alex Pereira and Jiří Procházka, they took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. When Conor pulled out, they were like, let's get some big action fights on here to save face. They got Diego Lopes and Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega was bulking up to 155. And they call him for this fight at 145. He's like, I'll take it. The morning of the weigh-ins, again, 2 weeks' notice, credit to both these guys. The morning of the weigh-ins, 4 a.m., Diego Lopes gets woken up, and they say, hey, mind you, he fell asleep at 146 pounds. He went to bed at 146. He's 1 pound off of making weight. And he wakes up at 4 a.m. They say, hey, Brian's not making 145. They want to move it to lightweight. He's like, can we do 150? And they're like, no, it's lightweight or nothing. He's like, all right, fine, we'll do lightweight. So they weigh in. Hold on, Rich. They weigh in at 155. And then during the event, about 3 hours before the co-main, they say, all of a sudden, I'm getting notifications. And they're like, Brian Ortega's out. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why aren't they saying anything about it? Look it up. Brian Ortega's out. He's got a fever, 103 or some shit like that he can't make the fight. So they pull in Dan Ige, which is the next picture, rolls up from down the street.
From getting his massage.
Yeah, he's getting a massage when he finds out Brian Ortega's out. He's like, please let me step in. We'll do 165. Lopes, to his credit, accepts that as well. So he accepts a short notice fight against Ortega. He accepts a day of weight difference, weight class change. And then he accepts 3 hours before complete a new opponent at a new weight class. They weigh in backstage at 165 pounds. Lopes weighs in at 161, 63. I think. Okay, 163. This has never happened before. This is 30 minutes before the pay-per-view starts, and they're weighing in. They're weighing in for a 165-pound bout. Dan Ige, I think I have the message that he sent Hunter Campbell in the next picture. Says, "Hey Hunter, I've been in camp for 3 months," which, let's be real, is not a true fight camp. He's just been training. He's fighting. He was supposed to fight in July 20th, which is weeks away. So he's not like it's different. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. Probably a lie. I can fight this guy tonight and beat him. Turns out that was a lie. This is what legends are made of. I'm in. I'm ready. I'm in great shape. Please don't take this opportunity away from me. Insane, dude. I can't even it's just so good, dude. HW says also for the men of culture did the super base Senko did a Hawk Tua in the weigh-in show. God, the weigh-in show is so good. The weigh-in show is so good. They're so fun. But anyways, back to the fight. So both these guys are complete fucking badasses for agreeing to this fight. And then they go out there and they're swinging and banging. The first round, Diego Lopes is so good at clinching and striking in the clinch because there's a lot of times where you can negate if you're open and you're in boxing range and stuff and someone's a cleaner striker, you can negate that by just grabbing them behind the fucking head. And just that happened in Rob Font versus Adrian Yanis. Adrian Yanis was kind of picking him apart a little bit, and he's slick and he's moving. So what does Rob Font do? Next time they exchange, he just fucking grabs him behind the head and just starts blasting him with the piston. And Diego Lopes is so good at that as well. As Sam says, dogs barking in the background representing the dog in their hearts. But the first round, Diego Lopes is clinching with him, just fighting like a mad dog. And Ige is clearly wishing he had some more sparring in his camp to prepare and get ready for this, because you could tell it looked like he got off the bench and hopped into a fight.
Yeah, for sure. He did not get off to a sprint for sure.
No. The first 5 minutes were a full-on adjustment period for him. And then he shoots for a takedown with like 45 seconds left, and I was like, that's not a good move.
Not against Diego Lopes.
Diego is Alexa Grasso's jiu-jitsu coach. A champion. He's her jiu-jitsu coach. So he immediately jumps on the guillotine, switches to a Darce. Dan Ige does a great job of going belly up to stop the complete collapse on that choke on the Darce.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tight and the round ends. I think he gets out of it and then the round ends.
Yeah, but if there was more time, Diego would definitely have not given him the space. Like he wouldn't have. He let his arms not burn out, essentially. Like he was like, okay, 10 seconds. I don't need to kill myself. I got time.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and the Darce was tight. It was in. But normally you see how Diego's throwing his legs over. You want to be like crumpled over. You don't want to be underneath the guy. You want to be almost on your side, the two of you on your side, and then you get your feet to their feet. So the closest you can get your body to be, you're never going to get it belly to belly, but you want to like try to get it belly to belly, and as close as you can get will put more pressure on that choke. So Ige did a great job defending this. And then I think he was saved by the end of the round here. And I think that was the only real takedown attempt from Dan Ige. I think after that, he was like, never mind. Second round, Diego Lopes, Ige is starting to find his range a little bit on the feet. And then he kicks him square in the face. He kicks Diego square in the face. Diego catches it somehow and takes him down off of that. Fucking insane.
He ate that kick hard too.
Yeah, it was
like the replay. Like he eats it. He's like, oh geez, and still gets a takedown.
It reminded me of that Yoel Romero clip where he gets kicked in the face, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
how does he survive that? It was the same kind of. It was clean. Takes his back, and then again, very good defense from Dan Ige defending the chokes. He spent damn near the whole round with Diego Lopes on his back and didn't get choked out. So very impressive. But he's now down 2 rounds to nothing going into the third. And you're like, what kind of a gas tank can he even have? Turns out better than Diego Lopes.
Yeah.
Because Diego was crashing a little bit here in that third round. Fading hard, and Dan Ige was finding the range. He was starting to crack him with his hands. And at a certain point, Diego Lopes shoots on him like a desperation shot because he's getting lit up a little bit, and you could tell he's exhausted. And he ends up getting to his back, and Ige goes double, 2 hands on one, turns into him and drags him down, ends up on top, and you're like, get out of there.
Separate.
You're not going to finish him in guard, and you need to finish. and he was going for some ground and pound. They separate with like 10 seconds left. Eats a couple up kicks from Diego, and that was it. But he won the third round, which is very impressive.
He won our hearts.
I mean, both of them did, but Ige, I don't want to get what Diego did. I don't want that to be overshadowed, or it will get overshadowed by what Ige did, but it shouldn't be completely forgotten that Diego also did a short notice fight against a jiu-jitsu guy, primarily a jiu-jitsu guy, and then day of switch his opponents for a striker. I mean, it's just
a man whose nickname is 50K for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a great story. He came up short, but he gave himself the opportunity to try to do something that would have been fucking absolutely legendary. And he won the third round, and that's not winning the fight, but it is still incredibly impressive. HB Comer says, I was disappointed with Ige. Lopes was keeping himself open. That Ige that fought Flat Earth Man would have killed Diego. Yeah,
I
you
think
can tell.
The same Ige would have won if he had just had a camp for Diego. Like, he could have won this fight.
If he didn't have to adjust the whole first round, it would have been very different. But I love the respect between the two of them. They go walk over to Dana and Hunter, and they're talking to them through the cage. And then when they're doing the announcement of the winner, they like cheers their monster cans with each other, and like they do a cool little like. It was just very cool. I love to see like the respect. As much as the bad blood sells tickets and stuff like that, the respect is always really cool. I mean, this is the type of stuff that makes the sport so fucking cool.
There's no other sport that would have given you this situation other than like a combat sport. Like,
yeah, you can't.
My quarterback got injured and we put in a new one. You were still game planning for the same team the whole fucking week.
Well, and not just that, but in that same situation, right? The third string quarterback jumps in, right? But he can't never do anything because the fucking offensive line's letting everybody through the whole time. And he doesn't even get to prove himself because there's other outside factors that are preventing him. And fighting is just you, dude. It's just you in there. So there's nobody else you can be like, well, yeah, I stepped in, but my quarterback couldn't even fucking throw it right. If you're a wide receiver or some shit like that, like fighting, it's just you and one other dude in there. And it's just fucking so good. That's what makes it so good.
There's no other sporting event that would have given you this situation 3 hours before it happened. Like,
no,
at all.
And before yesterday, I would say even in combat sports, you're never going to get something like that at this level. And then they fucking did it. Blunderbub says, I never yell louder at the screen than when a fighter needs a KO and gets a takedown against the fence instead. Oh, man. Remember when O'Malley against Andre Sukumta?
Oh,
yeah, there's the picture
man.
right there. This is classic. Herzog's looking into it like it's he has to stop the fight or something. It's a great picture. But yeah, fantastic fight. Diego's trying to get a fight on the Sphere card. He called out Volkanovski and then Ortega. I think they probably do that Ortega fight at the Sphere for Noche UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt they give him Volkanovski. And definitely not at the Sphere if it's Volk. But that was a fun fight. That was awesome. It was a great story. Moving on to a terrible fight that we're going to skip is Dolidze versus Anthony Smith. We're not even going to bother. But we will move on to what everybody thought was going to suck, but turned out to be one of the better fights on the card, was Macy Chiasson versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Everyone said this is the piss break fight on the card. Why is this on the pay-per-view? You got Cub Swanson, Andre Fili. That should be there instead. Put this on the prelims. And while that was fight of the night, the Cub Swanson one, this was very good. This was a super fun fight.
It might have won fight of the night if it went all three. I mean, it was on pace to do it.
Yeah, dude, because the first round was fucking barn burner, dude.
Bananas.
Dude, Mayra Bueno Silva throwing high kicks, throwing the rear high kick to turn to pivot into the spinning wheel kick off the other leg. Her clinch strike, dude, her enters and exits into the clinch where she's like entering, elbow, knee on the break, steps out, high kick before Macy's even like, what the fuck is happening? I mean, she fought her like a Beyblade in that first round. Props to Macy because she was eating big shots.
Yeah, and Macy showed a lot of grit that a lot of, in general, man or woman fighter wouldn't have. Like, I've seen a lot of fighters get clipped with something and obviously not like it, and then change how they fight the whole time. She did not. She obviously didn't like some of these hits that were coming at her. She was like, "Oh Jesus!" But I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. I'm gonna keep going in because my stuff's working.
Yeah, it's not like even while Mayra was landing all that crazy shit, Macy was still landing her own shots. A little bit more like cleaner stuff on the outside, more so than in that like dirty like mixing. But then even in the clinch, she started landing her own knees, like uppercuts, things like that. I mean, it was such a fun fight. And then in the second round, she gets the takedown and immediately turns an elbow over. And again, this is about to get graphic for anybody who's squeamish about blood. She lands this elbow, perfect elbow, splits her open over the eyebrow, and immediately, once it opens up, it's pooling with blood. You see Macy's face, and she has the biggest smile on her face. I was like, dude, this chick's a dog, dude. I tried to get a picture of it, but it was like blurry because ESPN fucking streams in like 720p. But as soon as she split her open and she recognizes it, she has this massive smile on her face. And then, they're on the ground for a bit. The next picture is graphic. Well, actually, I think there's one more picture before it gets too graphic. Doctor gets called in because if the blood's going into the eye, they're going to stop it, right? The next picture is graphic. This is the graphic one. Because the camera turns and you get to see the cut.
Jeez.
It is brutal.
Man.
Absolutely brutal. And Mayra is like, fuck you, get away from me, to the doctor, and starts walking to the center of the cage, does a little dance. He's like, let's go, let's start. Like, I'm ready to go. And they're like, no, dude. You don't get to do that.
If there was a cut that you stop a fight for, that one is it.
Yeah, I mean, and Rogan's like, it's just a bit of blood. I don't know about that. That's a bad one.
No.
That's not just blood.
No. If that splits open anymore, it is going to affect her vision for the rest of her life.
Yeah, it can be really bad. It can get really bad. It will get worse. It's not going to get any better, and it's definitely going to get worse. And Blunderboat says Genevieve is so sad we missed this one, a banger women's fight with lots of blood. Yeah, it was. When I was watching it, I was like, dude, Genevieve's probably so stoked right now. Little did I know, y'all weren't even watching. But dude, this was a textbook fight for her. She is grieving. Ganska says RoboCop proved this was a bad stoppage. RoboCop's though was right in the middle.
Yeah.
It was right in the middle.
Because his was never going into the eye. It was all going down here, and it never split over the eyeballs.
Yeah. Rachel McComer says she looks fine. Who was it on the PFL card also this weekend that had an insane
man. That was so bad. And he pointed at it too. Like as soon as it happened, he was like, ooh.
Justin Gonzalez. That one I didn't put it in the slideshow because that might get us taken down. That one was bad. So yeah, Blunderbub should show that to Genevieve. PFL this weekend had a crazy cut.
Quick mention about Macy. Like, she noticed that cut happened. Back up. You almost got caught in 2 submissions.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
There,
Get out.
Yeah. How crazy would it be if Mayra got that armbar and got the win and then
100%. Give her $50K.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy fight. That was a very fun fight. We can go ahead and move on. Jenny says DM it to me, Will. I will after the show. I'll send it. We can move on to a lot of people had very big interest in this one. We are moving on to Ian Garry versus Michael Venom Page. A lot of trash talk, a lot of theatrics. It's Ian Garry. I actually I'm not an Ian Garry hater. I know a lot of people fucking hate him, and I understand why. He has super high like tattletale kid vibes.
He's annoying.
He's annoying. But every time I see him where he's just being himself, he seems like a great dude. And it's like, can you stop trying to put on the persona?
That video with this kid, that was cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like do that, dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and like people, I don't know. I get it. He's trying to do the whole like be a heel and all this shit, but it's like, dude, is it worth your marriage? because
it's starting to turn into Colby, and not on the good side.
Yeah, it's gotten dark. But whatever it is, it got people were interested in this fight. MVP is, everybody will talk about how MVP is a can crusher and that he crushed a bunch of cans in Bellator. And while that is true, that doesn't mean that he's bad.
He doesn't have the skills he has.
Yeah, good fighters can also crush cans. That doesn't mean that they're bad. HBK versus fucking MVP, man. We were counting on you. Send him back to Bellator. Gamscott says bro's kid is already way cooler than him. Agreed. First round, Ian Garry immediately realizes I can't touch this guy on the feet. He takes him down. Damian Maia's in his corner. Very cool to see. I fucking love Damian Maia. Takes him down, gets his back, has the choke like twice. Because he catches the kick immediately. I also Michael Venom Page, surprised at the kick heavy game plan against someone that I thought was probably going to try to take him down. Maybe we don't need the kicks, especially high kicks.
Especially with how well his hands were working.
Yeah. So he gets taken down off like the first high kick he throws. Ian Garry takes his back. He's been working it down at shooter box with Oliveira, clearly working with Damian Maia, gets his back, has the choke a couple times, but Michael Venom Page did a decent job of shrugging and getting his head low enough to where he couldn't get the full. I don't think he was fully surrounded. He was under the chin, but he never was like in the V perfectly.
Yeah.
And
it was weird because like MVP was doing good, but also really bad at defense. Like he was doing good stopping the submission, but all the jiu-jitsu parts.
Everything else.
What are you doing?
Everything else was gone. He was very good at preventing the choke from happening, and that's about it. And maybe that's all it needed, right? Maybe he was like, I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to expend all the energy. And he ends up, the second round starts. You go to the second round. Easy round for Ian Garry, right? Second round, and Michael Venom Page is lighting him up with that overhand right. The way he hops in and he'll jab the chest and then throw the overhand, it's fucking beautiful, dude. It's so good. He cracked Ian Garry a few times in that second round. And props to Ian Garry because Michael Venom Page has one punch knockout power, and he just didn't go out. Third round, he blitzes Ian Garry again, cracks him to the point where Ian Garry's getting ran through, and he just grabs him by the body lock almost, and Michael Venom Page just runs through him, ends up on top. Ends up spending like the first half of the round in his guard. And like Dana talked about, he's like, if he stayed on top, he probably would have won that fight. But instead he disengaged and got up, and then Ian took his back for the second half of the round. and then that's kind of how he won it. It was like the first round
again with the kick.
The first round, clear Ian Garry. Second round, clear Michael Venom Page. Third round was literally 50-50 with one of the fighters being in guard and the other fighter being on his back. So it's like, I've seen people say it's a robbery. I don't agree that it's a robbery. It's that third round. You could call that third round a 10-10 because there was never any threats off the back. They literally, if you go back to a picture, Rich, they spent 2.5 minutes in this position like here. Yeah. The whole second half of the final half of the third round was this, which I guess it is winning. I guess kind of sucks. A little lackluster. I thought I liked going into the third how it was even, and both of them had success in certain aspects. I thought it was interesting, and the third round kind of just sucked.
You can definitely say that like MVP's ego or pride kind of lost him this one because like. If you just don't make the same mistake you make in the first, I think you win this fight. Like you win that third, and you get the 2-3. But you throw the kicks, you disengage, you throw the kicks that you shouldn't be throwing up high. Like you could have at least thrown these kicks like down at his legs or something. Like why are you?
And he
throwing
did do
so
that a
high
little
up?
bit. When he goes southpaw, he'll throw that stomp to the knee, and that's good. That's a good weapon because it can keep someone away from you. But throwing high kicks against someone who's clearly now trying to take you down, it's tough, man.
Also, somebody who's the same height as you. Like you're throwing really high up. You're not throwing against all the Bellator guys you fought who are like 5'10".
Yeah, an actual librarian that he fought in Bellator. So Ian Garry gets the win. He calls out Shavkat Rakhmonov. Do it, book it, fuck it.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to see it. We are going to be skipping. Joe Pyfer got a first round knockout against Marc-Andre Barriault. He clips him with the overhand right, and then while he's shelled up, he glances him up behind the ear, knocks him out, flatlines him. Andre Feely fought Cub Swanson in a fight that I thought Cub Swanson won, but we're not going to cover
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, and maybe
I had it 2-1.
Yeah, I had 29-28 Cub. Not mad at the decision. It wasn't like a big robbery, but whatever. Charles Jourdain fought Jean Silva. Silva knocked him out with a beautiful uppercut. It was very cool, but we're not going to talk about that either. But we will talk about Payton Talbott versus Yanis Ghemmouri.
We'll probably talk about it longer than the fight happened.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, that'll still probably be quick. Payton Talbott, they open up. He jabs him, draws a low kick from Yanis. Yanis throws a low kick lazy to counter the jab, and the 2 is right there. Drops him, sits him down, finishes him with some ground and pound, and then that was it. Payton Talbott continues his streak of starching dudes, and sky's the limit. He's very good. He's very good. I don't know what's next for him, but just keep booking him fights. And
fucked up that backflip, though.
Yeah, he definitely did not land that flip. That's always tough. We will skip some more fights. Robertson beat Karate Hottie. Karate Hottie retired. They gave her a cool little video package on her send-off. Andrei Arlovsky fought his last UFC fight, and they didn't give him a cool send-off. And then we're going to talk about Ray Tsuruya in his UFC debut against Carlos Hernandez. Ray Tsuruya, another super hot shit prospect, insane grappling, and we got to see all of that on display. This was a very
It's like
cool
if
fight.
Ryan Hall was actually good at MMA.
Yeah, if he was like complete outside of just leg locks. Yeah. I love Ryan Hall, but yeah,
I love Ryan Hall too.
Ray Tsuruya really trying to get that twister. He wanted it so bad. He tried it twice. Gets him in the crucifix at one point. He's throwing elbows. Shout out to Ghost, put out a Substack article where he's talking about there's no picture of it, but Ray Tsuruya at one point was on bottom and he's going in for a single leg, and Carlos Hernandez has him kind of stuck there, and he's trying to get that single leg. And there's something that you could do is he didn't really do anything. He just kind of tried to keep the overhook while Tsuruya just kept working. And the Ghost was talking about how you want to threaten with darces and things like that, frame off, land elbows, and punish them for just digging in for that single leg. And one of the perfect examples of that is Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis had him in that same position, and he's like elbow, 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 and he starts blocking. He's like darce. He starts defending the darce. He ditches the darce, elbow, elbow, and he just goes back and forth between the two. Yep. Carlos Hernandez could have been doing something like that, but didn't. And this was just a very cool debut for Ray Tsuruya. Had some adversity in the grappling. Hernandez was no slouch as he slams him in this picture. But it was a fun fight. And Tsuruya is definitely somebody to watch for. That guy's fucking good.
Feel bad for Hernandez getting two big high-end prospects back to back.
Yeah.
God.
Get this guy to fight somebody other than a Japanese prospect, please.
Also, pretty cool to see what's his name? WWE guy in his corner.
Yeah. I don't know who that is, but I know people were hyped about it. I don't follow wrestling.
I like him. I can't remember his name, and I don't want to fuck it up. That's why I'm not saying it, but I like watching his stuff. Okay. DC was all about talking about it for like a solid 2 minutes.
Was he? I wasn't watching this one with commentary at this point.
Didn't need to.
Yeah, but that's it. That's the Ray Tsuruya. Also, Vinicius Oliveira versus Ricky Simon was a fun fight. Oliveira throws the what's it called? The kick where you throw it behind your back, the back leg to an uppercut. It was sick. Rabona kick, I think. But yeah, that's it. We can go ahead and move on to moment of silence. We got.
This is a weird card to do moment of silence for.
Yeah, lots of them. Conor McGregor was supposed to fight Michael Chandler. He broke his toe, so that fight didn't happen. Cody Durden was supposed to fight Carlos Hernandez. That did not happen. And then Jamal Hill was supposed to fight Khalil Roundtree. Roundtree tests positive. So they book him against Carlos Ulberg. And then Jamal Hill gets injured. So they book Oberg against Anthony Smith, but then Oberg gets injured. So then they get Roman Dolidze to fight Anthony Smith, and they probably should have just canceled it altogether because the fight was awful. And then obviously Ortega could not fight Lopes, so that's another one that got canceled. So yeah, lots of big cancellations in this one. Crazy events trying to follow it all. And then we had some bonuses. I believe Cub Swanson got fight of the night against Andre Feely. Very cool. Fun fight. I like both those guys. Thought Cub won, but I do. And then Alex Pereira got one for knocking out Jiří for the third time, once in the first round and then once in the second round. Macy Chiasson got one for her barn burner against Mayra Bueno Silva. And then Joe Pyfer got one for knocking out another guy, as he does. And then Payton Talbott knocked out another guy, as he does.
Yeah.
So they got
because this is the one where they were one of the ones where the media asked them to do another bonus, right?
Yeah. And Dana was like, well, we didn't really think there was 2 fight of the night, so we just gave another performance bonus. And you're like, I don't know. I feel like it could have been.
You could have given Bruno, or you could have given Maria Bueno Silva, like,
yeah, give her some extra cash.
Come on.
Yeah, or Diego Lopes versus Ige, maybe.
Yeah,
but they probably were like, we're already giving them a fuck ton of money.
They're gonna help them out for sure. There's no way that they don't. If you don't give them the sphere, like you do something to pay Dan and Diego for that. There's no way they don't get something in their pocketbook.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, that's it. HB Comer says, can we make fun of Michael Chandler for a bit? So depressing watching his social media. It's tough.
Yeah.
Walk on, see it.
For somebody so positive, man.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's like that meme of it's like the smiley face mask, but you're like crying, sobbing in the back behind it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel every time I see one of his posts now. It sucks, dude. I feel for him.
Like the one where he walked into his kitchen, he just poured himself a whiskey, took a drink, and walked away. I'm like, yeah, that's about right.
That's about right. Okay, we only have a little bit of time left. We still got to cover some fights from one, so we might skip a few from that. But so yeah, we had one Friday Fight 68, a pay-per-view. It's only $25 US, not bad. We had Jonathan DeBella versus Prajanchai. This is for the kickboxing belt. It's now vacant because they were slated to fight before, and DeBella got sick the day of the weigh-ins, and they had to cancel the fight, so he lost his belt. Then they rebooked it. Prajanchai is the Muay Thai champ, so he's coming over to kickboxing to face DeBella, who is the former champ in kickboxing. And this fight was fucking amazing. This was such a sick fight. I mean, there's not enough photos for it. We didn't get it was a One Friday Fights card, so we don't get the media package for it with all the photos. So there's only a couple photos, and they make it look like DeBella got his ass kicked because there's only like 2, and it's both of him. They're both him getting hit. But I think there was some controversy in this one with the decision. First round, I thought it was a clear DeBella round. He's so fucking fast, and he'll throw that jab
so quick.
Yeah,
crazy quick.
They're both southpaw, and he's throwing that jab, the left hook to the body, and then a kick to the legs to exit the combo, and then he's gone. And he's just fucking lightning fast. And his resets, you could tell that first round Prajanchai was kind of just like, I don't know what's happening. Like, this is too fast around me, and it's gone. And I'm trying to hit him when he comes in, and it's not happening. AJ Coase's mustache man won. Yes, he did. It is a nice mustache. But then in the second round, DeBella really came on strong, and he was lighting him up. And actually, there's a cool. Let's show this clip really quick. We got, which one is it? This one. Look at this shit. This is some hot shit striking right here. If you want a cool striking match, watch this fucking fight. Look at these two fucking guys and the head movement. God damn, it's slick, dude. You see him switch stances as he retreats there, DeBella.
Yeah.
Bam, reset.
This is one of those fights that makes you excited to watch kickboxing. This fight was so fun.
This shows you what kickboxing can be. Third round, very close. I think this is the consequential round, because the first two I thought DeBella won. Third round, watching it live, I thought DeBella won. This is where Prajanchai found the knee to the body. And at first, he was really clinching and throwing that knee to the body every time DeBella would enter. which you cannot do in kickboxing. You can't clinch and strike. So he got a few warnings there in the second round for doing that. But then after that, I thought in the fourth and fifth, after I rewatched this, the fourth and fifth rounds, he ended up switching to an open stance, to orthodox, to DiBella's southpaw. So now he could just step straight through, and he would enter the clinch with the knee. Instead of entering the clinch for the knee, he was entering the clinch with the knee. So he'd step in with the knee, grab him, get separated. And that is so fucking good against someone who's so fast. And you want to slow him down, drive a knee through his stomach over and over and over again. That'll slow somebody down.
Anybody.
Yeah, and you want to stop him from exiting, knee him and then grab him. And they'll have to separate. And now you can reset and throw your knee again. And the fourth round was a very good round for Prajanchai. The fifth round, they started really swinging at each other. I thought Prajanchai took the fourth and the fifth. Watching it live, I thought DiBella won the third. Rewatching it yesterday, I had Prajanchai winning the third. So I did.
When I watched it, I was like, the first two were definitely DiBella, and then the last three for me were definitely Prajanchai.
Yeah, I mean,
those knees were just crazy.
Yeah, and what's cool about this was, so third round, he finds the knee. Fourth round, he's like, all right, I'm switching stance so I can throw that knee more. And then fifth round, DiBella was like, oh, it's open side now. I'm going to start blasting this left high kick on the open side. So it's like Prajanchai made the adjustment to throw the knee up the middle, and then DiBella made the adjustment to throw the outside high kick on the open side. So just the fucking levels of this shit is, god damn, it was good, dude. I really like both these guys too. I don't like seeing DiBella lose his belt because I really like the guy. His walkout is fucking awesome, where he's just playing that like slow Italian classic music with the violins and shit, and he's got the talent. It's just fucking clean, dude. And then he comes out there and he's a slick shit striker. God damn, it was good. But he didn't win. Maybe they rebook it. I think they Chatri said that he thought DiBella won, and they're gonna try to rebook it. Which I would watch this fight every fucking week. It was so good.
Yeah.
Make it a 10-round
I'd watch this fight twice a day.
Yeah. I've watched it twice this weekend. Rich in the chat talking about Thai names, bro. He's talking about Legatron. But we can move on. We only got a few more. We don't have a ton of time. We had Superlek versus Kongthoranee in the co-main. Superlek. You
talk about speed, man. This fight was speed encapsulated. Those guys look like they were on like 2 times speed. It was crazy.
It really did, dude. Kongthoranee just got his one contract. He won it off Friday Fights, and they immediately booked him to fight Superlek. And you're like, that's a tough task, man. And Superlek, he's just a fucking wizard, dude. He's a fucking wizard. I might do a longer video on this fight just because, like, separate than this, because Kongthoranee just couldn't get to him.
His footwork was crazy. When Contour would like close up, he would just like move in all these weird spaces and just find the spot where it's like, this is my punch, this is my kick, and it's like, how do you do this?
It's like watching the Flash fight, because it's like he's moving full speed, like 2 times speed to us, but it's like he's seeing everything in slow motion. Like he can pivot out and find a hole there, and then he's gone, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? When he fought Takeru hurt him to the body with a front kick to the body, like a snap front kick to the body, and he almost lost the fight. He gets hit to the body. He has to shell up. Takeru's just like swinging on him like crazy. He survives it, ends up winning the fight. But he was like, after that fight, I rewatched it, and I was like, what the fuck was that kick? Because he'll throw teep kicks, right? But it's different than a front kick up the middle to the body, that stabbing front kick when you peel your toes back and you drive the ball.
With like the ball of your toe.
Yeah, and he was throwing it a lot in this fight against Kongthoranee, and it was like, dude, this guy's still getting better. He's already like a wizard, and he's still getting better. And then Blunderbuff says, also best part of the night, Superlek's whole interview is just telling Rodtang he'll see him tomorrow at soccer.
I think it was even better that he was like, I'll see you tomorrow, and everyone's like, what? You're gonna fight Rodtang tomorrow? Oh no, soccer.
Yeah. Rodtang did a meet and greet before the event, and Superlek crashed it and like got something signed by Rodtang and like took a photo.
That's
awesome.
Was
all stoked. So their fight was legendary. Like the stuff that legends are written about is Superlek versus Rodtang. HB Comer says, why do we not have these cool names in the UFC? I wish we
Blood Diamond.
Blood Diamond. Well, not anymore. He's gone. But yeah, But yeah, that was Superlek versus Kongthoranee. We'll probably skip another couple fights. What else was on this? Superlek got knocked out immediately by Nabiti, which is brutal because Superlek,
that knockout was so weird to look. Like watch, like his body looked like it was about to respond, and then it was like, nope, I'm off.
Yeah. And Nabiti knocked him out before. They fought before they were in one, and he knocked him out. So this was probably like, man, PTSD for Superlek. But fun fight. Peschanong returned, had a very good fight against Ramazanov. The first round of that fight was so fucking Ramazanov just switching. He's the kickboxing Tony Ferguson, Ramazanov. Yeah. The way he switches stances, he looks weird. It's like a mix between Tony Ferguson and Dominic Cruz because he's switching, he's leaning.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah,
and then he'll switch hit, he'll bop, 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 and then he's out in another stance. And it was just so good until I think Peschanong ended up landing big shots on him, and he hurt his foot, I think, and they had to stop it. And then what else do we have? Shadow had a good fight.
Did they say what happened to his foot?
I haven't been able to find out what happened. I asked around, and I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah, those Russians, they love to keep their secrets.
Yeah, secrets, sneakies. Shadow fought Jimmy Vigneault. Vigneault came back and fought Shadow. That was a fun fight, but Shadow just fucking is so good. And then Pakhorn versus Rafi, another rematch. Pakhorn knocked him out with a big shot, big overhand, like early. And then the last one we'll cover, that will actually go into is Sibmuen versus Tyson Harrison, dude.
Of course.
He's my fucking
How did I know that Will wanted to talk about a Harrison?
I fucking love, dude. Tyson Harrison's so sick, dude. He walks out, he's got the cowboy hat, he's got the fucking the 6 shooters, dude. Yeah. Trained with John Wayne Parr, dude. They call him John Wayne Noy. He's so sick, dude. Australian. He had a showcase fight where if he won, they probably would have given him a contract to be on the big stage at one. And he shit himself. And literally before the fight started, and he was sick. Found out that he was eating cereal before the fight, and he thinks the milk fucked him up. Shit himself, got beat him up. They stopped the fight, and it's like, man, he also broke his hand in the fight, and you're just like, man, when it rains, it pours, dude. And he comes back. This is a long, I think 9 months, something like that. He comes back.
It's been a while.
This was a fucking banger, dude. Fucking banger.
Great fight. Great fight.
Tyson was trying to land his shots on the outside, and he was doing well. And then Sibmuen made a great adjustment where he would start initiating the clinch, and he was really chewing him up in the clinch with knees and elbows. And I was like, no, my boy.
He would also do this really cool thing where like Tyson was like, I'm gonna go for it no matter what. And so Sibmuen was like, okay, go forward at me, and as soon as we hit this corner, I'm gonna turn around, and now you're there. Yeah. He would just like unload and then do the same thing back the other way, circle at him.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really smart.
No, it was very cool adjustments from Sibmuen. But then Tyson Harrison came on strong that third round, I thought, and stopped clinching too much, and then he started Beyblading into the clinch, where he's just fucking spinning. We can actually show a clip from this one. Let's see, do I have it? I think I have it somewhere here. Shout out to One's Instagram channel, and shout out to them for letting us show clips from their fights. Watch this shit. Bam, spinning back elbow, dude. Fucking sick. And right back on him, like you said, just constantly walking him down.
Like, goddamn. Even if that's not like a knockdown, like, dog, how do you stand up when someone comes at you that fast and hard? Yeah. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. And to Blunderbub's point, I thought Sibmuen won, but I'm not mad because I like Harrison a lot. When they went to the decision, I was like, this could go either way. And I think it was split. From what I remember. It was. I think it was split. But yeah, I'm glad Tyson Harrison had the bounce back. He looked good. It was a close fight, but he looked good in it. I'm excited to see what's next for him. He said no more cereal, so we should be good to go. I asked him to rank cereals. Like, give me the tier list. He's like, I love cereal so much. I was like, what's the tier list? And he's like, I don't even know because like we don't have like any like name brand cereals here. I was like, bro, American cereals would rock your world, dude.
Straight up. He's definitely shitting his pants after that one.
Yeah, some Fruity Pebbles, some Captain Crunch, dude. He's like, what the fuck? But that's all we'll cover. Like I said, I might do a longer video on the Superlek fight because it was so fucking cool. Maybe even the longer one on the DeBella fight. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you, Toasty, once again. Andrew Toasty Tosty got a fight coming up in July for A1 Combat. Thank you for being the Dan Ige of the show. I think I'm just going to say that from now on. You're the Dan Ige of the show. Give him a follow on Instagram. And what else? Instagram, YouTube. You have a YouTube channel too, right?
I mean, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't post on it. It's mostly for me to watch my opponents and shit like that. So you don't need to follow me there. Instagram is my main thing. Like if I can get followers on Instagram, that's where everyone's watching me.
Toasty MMA on Instagram. Next week, I think the only thing we have next week is Ramiro slacking. Next week we have there's no UFC. I don't think we have one Fight Night 23. Okrayun versus a newcomer, Alibeg Razulov. That is the interim lightweight title fight. Christian Lee, they're finally doing an interim bout for it. Ty Rotolo's on the card against Joseph Chen. Nico Carrillo's on the card against Semapech. If he wins that, he's got to be getting a title shot. Kung Ji Won's on there. Luke Lassie is on there. Rug's on there. It's a very fun card.
Thank you, UFC, for giving us a break before the big fight night that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Hey, that Ganskow will be at. Ganskow's going to be on the ground. Boots on the ground in Denver. Denver's so sick, dude. I really like Denver. But yeah, that's all we have for next week. One Fight Night 23. We'll be covering that. Is there anything else? Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. This podcast was produced by the one and only Richard Bustos. And thank you again, everybody, for tuning in for another week of Story of the Fight.